Attorney Bradford would lead us in prayer. We will start. Attorney Bradford.
Fine, man. Father God, thank you for another day. Thank you for the opportunity to serve, and thank you for each of those individuals gathered here in leadership positions to help guide our city to a better day and continue strides that we've taken over the past few years. Father God, please continue to bless our mayor, bless our city council, bless those citizens who are gathered here today, and bless our city, and continue to help us grow and become even better in your sight. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag and with your hand over your heart, repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Councilman Bradford.
Present.
Councilman Everson.
Here.
Councilman Jenkins.
Present.
Councilman Corbin.
Present.
Councilman Porter.
Present.
Councilwoman Lynch is here.
Oh, she is here.
And Councilman Sullivan.
Here. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for the administrative conference? Second. It's been moved by the vice chair, seconded by the chair. Please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Are there any awards or distinguished guests and communications? Any council member?
Chairman, I don't have any, but if I'm in order, I'd like for us to suspend the rules and take up resolution awarding
Resolution 6, I believe.
Resolution, yes. That is correct. Mr. Chairman, I so move that we will suspend the rules. And
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Bradford, seconded by the vice chair. In discussion? Please vote. This on the 2200 block, yes, sir. Motion passed.
That's it. I mean, you introduced it, but can I ask your clerk to read the resolution?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Clerk, Resolution 6.
119. A resolution to dedicate the 2200 block of David Raines Road to Reverend Benjamin D. Blake in recognition of his extraordinary accomplishments and service to the citizens of this city, state, and nation, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto by Councilman Jerry Bowman, Jr. Whereas Pastor Benjamin D. Blake began his ministry in 1982, and whereas on March the 11th, 2018, Pastor Blake will celebrate his 35th anniversary as pastor of St. Matthew Missionary Baptist Church. And whereas Pastor Blake graduated from high school in 1944 and enlisted in the Army towards the end of World War II. In the Army, he became a medic and gained the rank of sergeant. And whereas after military service, Pastor Blake graduated from college and received his master's degree in education. And whereas Pastor Blake taught mathematics for 30 years in DeSoto Parish and at J.S. Clark in Shreveport until his retirement in 1981. And whereas Pastor Blake founded and initially funded the North Louisiana Christian Youth Encampment with 20 students and volunteers. Today the organization serves some 300 students and has been renamed North Louisiana and East Texas Christian Youth Encampment, and it is now under a new director. And whereas Pastor Blake has partnered with the Caddo Sheriff for over 20 years to minister and witness to prison inmates, and he has partnered with the Salvation Army to raise funds for the needy. And whereas Pastor Blake has served on the board of directors of several local and state religious and nonprofit organizations, and he has received numerous awards which demonstrate his lifelong commitment and many contributions to the well-being of this community. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport, in due legal and regular session convened, that the mayor, on behalf of the city, is authorized to dedicate the 2200 block of David Raines Road to Pastor Benjamin D. Blake in recognition of his extraordinary accomplishments and service to the citizens of this city, state, and nation. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be executed in duplicate originals, with one original presented to Pastor Benjamin D. Blake, and the other resolution filed in perpetuity in the office of the Clerk of Council for the City of Shreveport, and the resolution has been signed by each council member.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I don't want to supersede your sponsorship, but can I move that this resolution be adopted by this council?
Yes, sir. Second. Been moved by Councilman Bradford, seconded by the chair. Please vote. Motion passes. Madam Mayor, would you do me the privilege of meeting me down at the podium, please?
Yes, sir.
And also, Councilman Bradford, since this is in your district, I appreciate if you would come down and take
Be honest,
pictures
Mr.
also.
Chairman, because I want everybody to know that was my 8th grade math teacher at J.S. Clark.
That's why you so smart.
And we also have a privilege of walking behind another math teacher from back in the day.
Back in the day.
She probably didn't teach you though, did she?
No, she was on the other side of town. Pastor, come up with us, please.
Dr. Blake was my colleague and a good friend. I was a math teacher in one school, and he was a math teacher in the other, and we used to have workshops together. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Madam Mayor, would you
Where you want
get
to
on the pretty side?
To the council and to all of you, and I use this phrase from my heart, all of God's children, thank you so much for this recognition from these servants of God and for all that we can do to bring about a change in people's lives, that we will live a long, happy life as God designed us to do. Thank God for people who love people and care about people. And as council members and also as the political body of this city, it is a desire for all Christian people that all people will love people and care about people and share the joys that God has blessed us with as we try to live this life, because this is the best life and the only life that you will live that will matter to others. May God bless you and also keep you.
Are there any other council members have any distinguished guests? Madam Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to our council members and to our citizens. I want to thank all of our departments and emergency personnel who worked during last week's wintry weather that caused us to close the offices for 2 days for most of us, but not some of us. I want to say that our employees, especially those who braved the cold to ensure the safety of our citizens, did a tremendous job. Public Works, police, fire, water, sewerage, the airport, Sport Tran, and the mayor's office, several of us from the immediate staff, all worked very well together to minimize accidents and delays during that time. And I do want to say that the team did a great job. We did not have any major incidents that occurred as a result of the bad weather, and things seem to have gone very smoothly. So I do want to say thank you to those who made it happen. Thank you all. I want to thank the leadership team also for giving of themselves on January 15th, Martin Luther King Jr. National Day. They took part in the National Day of Service to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King's life and legacy. We started the day, of course, with the kickoff at Centenary College, and later we moved on to Christian services to serve lunch to our homeless population. And so, again, I'd like to thank the team for their leadership and their servants' hearts. Mr. Chairman, I want to remind the council of the invitation for the ribbon cutting at Andrew Curry at 4 p.m. Tuesday, January the 30th. We are very excited about the renovations that have taken place there, especially the roof replacement was the bulk of the work. And we will be recognizing, of course, Willis Knighton Medical Center, Mr. Jim Elroy, for doing that roof work for us. And we had to find funding to help with some of the other renovations on the inside of the building. But we would like to invite you all to come out and share in that ribbon cutting. Also, we want to invite everyone to the annual African American Parade on Saturday, February 3rd. This event is put on each year by State Representative Barbara Norton, and we'd like to thank her for dedicating the time and effort each year to bring this event to our community. We continue to serve our citizens with numerous events. Since we met last, the city has supported several different events. Some of those were Crew of Sobek Parade, which rolled out from the Fairgrounds Field through Queensboro neighborhood. Our very own Tari Bradford is the queen of Sobek this year. Shreveport Symphony Orchestra, which featured the music of Rolling Stones at Riverview Theater. Crew of Harambe Parade, which rolled from the Municipal Auditorium through parts of downtown. Those were just a few of the events that took place since our last meeting. Those are the announcements we have for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Reports? Anybody have any questions or concerns with property standards? Seeing none, Mr. Green.
Mr. Chairman, if you get the email that came
Right.
to you today, and you don't have to address it now, but I hope we can address that.
We already have. What you're seeing is the asbestos has been removed from that structure,
Okay.
and so within the month, it should be within a month.
So
it should be
demolition
demolished.
is scheduled.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
And
Mark or Sweeney, are you somewhere out there?
Fishing.
I did speak to him today on a property standards issue, but okay. He's not here. And I don't believe anybody stepped forward to say they're representing the MPC, so we should just move on to the next. Mr. Chair? See, it really shouldn't be a reduction in the service they're providing the city of Shreveport. The reduction should be elsewhere. Okay.
on the,
Would y'all repeat that?
for the finance department, Councilman Corbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You may recall that in 2017, the legislative auditor made some changes under Louisiana Revised Statute 24513, which required us to pass Resolution 183 of 2017, providing us with a month-to-date report that Finance Department presents to Council. After discussions with the Council Clerk, we feel that each month when we get this report, after each council person has reviewed it, we need to accept it and make that a part of our minutes that we have accepted that report. So for the December 2017 report, we'll defer that to the Audit and Finance Committee to look at, since we've got it. And if there's anything that needs to be brought back to the council, we will. And then when we receive our January report, if any council member has any comments or anything that they feel like in that report needs to go and be referred to the Audit and Finance Committee, at that time we can do that. Otherwise, we'll just accept it during the council meeting.
Okay, so we received ours, what, Monday or Tuesday of this week, or yesterday? Okay. And so what has always been a little curious to me is why there are only 11 months in the format. Is that?
Two things. We have made the request, or are going to make the request, that we receive the report a few days earlier so that we can review it. And I will defer the 11-month question to administration or Charles.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. What was it?
About 11 months.
It's always been a curiosity to me why it only has 11 months on when it talks about the year. And so this one is cumulative, and in January is not on there because it only has 11 months. A few months ago, it was missing whatever the proportion.
You're talking about the
share
sales
was.
tax portion of it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's because what we collect in January is actually counted in the 2016 audit. So it is not part of the 2017 revenues. What we're collecting this month will be added to those numbers when we do our audit. So that's
Okay.
why January doesn't show up.
Okay, so then the month of February, will my audit for the month of February only have February on there?
Yes. We don't count what is actually what we receive in January as revenue for the current year, because it is actually revenue for the prior year.
Disregard my question, and then when we start on February, there will only be 1 month on there.
Correct.
I don't think that's
Is
not
it-
accurate. The report that comes from the Sales and Tax Use Office, is that the one you're talking about? Speaking
It's
specifically,
it's like the cover sheet of the overall document.
it's different than the audit, because Charles is right that what you'll see in January are December figures from the previous year. When they
Correct.
do the audit, those numbers that are in January will actually be added to the previous years, but you will see a January number down there for December of last year. When I send you the sales and use tax report,
No,
if that makes sense.
I'm
maybe missing your
tracking what
question.
you're saying.
I got
I'm
you.
really talking about the format of this particular document.
Right.
Wh-
Yeah.
Which document are you talking about,
Yes.
Councilman?
So if you click on the link that is on the top of our agenda, it's
Revenue
budget to actual financial report. Under reports,
Got it.
D.
The first page should be sales tax alone,
Budget and actual financial.
Oh, I
and
got you.
does not
Okay.
have
I'm
any
with you.
January numbers on it.
Okay. But
And
your answer-
we're still collecting that 12th month as we speak.
I got
No,
you.
no,
Yeah.
your answer makes perfectly good
Okay.
sense.
Okay.
Mr. Corbin, one of the things that Charles will probably talk to you about is the possibility of changing the ordinance so that the January report will be received at the first meeting in the next month, so that, they'll have time to do it and we'll have time to look at it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cleaner. If we can do it that way, it'll be cleaner.
Sounds good.
Right. Mr. Sweeney is here if you have something for him, Mr. Chair.
Well, I just wanted to know about his master plan committee report, if he had one. Councilwoman Lynch said she was about to give you a call, so I'm glad you came on down.
I'm waiting for the master plan committee appointees to be made by both the city council, I'm assuming they may have been made, as well as for the parish commission before we convene another meeting. Because that will help us then round out the committee and we can call and hopefully get a quorum, because we weren't able to get a quorum for 4 months.
I won't be on that committee.
Okay. You didn't get appointed to that committee, okay. So, but yes, that's what, the next time we have a meeting will be after we get those committee appointments in place. So,
Thank you, thank you.
bet.
Sure. At this time, there'll be a public hearing call to order for resolution number 4 of 2018. Does the administration have,
Mr. Vital?
This is the rehearing of the hearing.
A rehearing of the first hearing.
Right.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Resolution number 4, as read, is a resolution to amend resolution number 110. I think that you guys approved back in July 18th of 2017. I think there was an error or something, there was an omission in the application that was made. And I think the thing was sent back to us to kind of look at that and to add that date on. And here's what we're trying to do, add a date on a projected completion date, that project will be completed. And of course, it's the Shreveport Market Street LLC, where they are taking this old office building to convert it into a residential business sort of activity. I think they're going to do about 73 apartment complexes. The mezzanine floor would have a space there for offices, and the bottom floor would be a business place. So basically that's what it is, just an amendment to sort of just put a date, a projected completion date on that.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vital is correct. The only thing that's different about this application, the one that was approved, is the ending date, which is October the 14th, 2018. And because the state required us to approve the application with that new date, it's here before you, but there's nothing new about it.
okay.
I think the last resolution didn't have a date at all, if I remember correctly. I don't know if the application did, but I know the resolution didn't have a date on it at all.
I think they had 17.
Another question?
I think they did.
Yeah, they had 17.
They had 17.
That 2017 finishing construction date's just being amended to 18. So.
Okay. Does any member of the public want to speak for or against the resolution? Anyone want to speak for or against the resolution? Okay. Seeing none, this public hearing is now closed. Adding legislation to the agenda, any public comments?
Okay. I have two, Mr. Chair. Sammy, what agenda item is yours, just so we're clear? Yours.
At the end.
I am aware of the rules there, Sammy, but there's a little confusion on the way it was checked. Okay. Mr. Ken Kraft, please, to speak on Knight Street.
Ken Kraft, 157 Archer, Shreveport, 71105. I just want to support y'all 3 weeks from today in approving ordinance 6 and 7. We need to pass the Brandon Harris and Leonard Fournette ordinances. There's no money in the capital, as I appreciate it. This was approved by the voters. April will be 7 years, and it should take precedence over new projects. As much as I don't like taking money from Street Special Revenue Fund and collector roadway asphalt program, it's a necessity in this instance because Knight Street has to happen. And the other thing, I want to thank you for sharing that with me yesterday or this morning, or in explaining Knight and Ackert. Councilman OJ.
Okay. Thank you, Ken Square.
From streets to streets.
That's all the public comments we have for this section, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
If I may, I wanted to just speak just for a moment to what Mr. Kraft said. We're asking to take the monies from street special revenue put on a street. So it's not like we're taking street money to put on something else. So I did want to clarify that. Knight Street, absolutely. Yeah.
Chairman, there's nothing, we have no items to be added to the agenda.
Okay. Please continue.
There's only one item on the consent agenda. It's resolution number 5, a motion to approve the consent agenda to be in order.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Bradford, second by Councilman Everson. Any discussion? Please vote.
That's adopted by a 7-0 vote. Under the regular agenda legislation, resolutions on second reading and final passage. Resolution number 3 authorizes the use of certain equipment by Sports Spectrum Race Management.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Motion by Councilman Corbin, second by Councilman Everson. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion carried.
Resolution number 4 amends resolution number 110 of 2017, reflecting the City of Shreveport's endorsement of Market Street Shreveport LLC.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Corbin. Any discussion? Please vote.
That's adopted by a 7-0 vote. Resolution number 6 has been adopted. Resolution number 7 extends the expiration date prescribed in Section 16.3G of the Unified Development Code for the approval of the special use permit in zoning case number C-102-17 for property at 327 Kings
So moved.
Highway.
Second.
It's been moved by the chair, seconded by Councilman.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Don't worry, I got a request to speak.
I see it.
Seconded by Councilman Fleury. In discussion, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay. I get the intent of this piece of legislation, but I do not think this is the appropriate way to address this. There is still another 150 some odd days of which this could be resolved. I think it is premature, and it sets a bad precedent for the future. Every single person that now is faced with appeal is going to show up here and ask for an extension. And my concern is that these things get extended over and over in court without even any pressure to be put on the court system to resolve the matter in an efficient, in a timely manner. It is, and I'm not a judge, but I can certainly say there's an opportunity for counsel to go before a judge and say, hey, I need this resolved because my client's appeal or my whatever client is only got a limited window to get this resolved. And in the past, in my time on appeals, we have literally been able to, almost in all cases, get that achieved, or there were some delays. All of that was resolved under our current structure, and I think this is a bad way to change business. Though, in fairness, if we had a proposal that went in to our actual ordinance itself that granted extensions for ones that weren't resolved in court until such time, I'd be more supportive of that than this particular way of resolving this issue. So that's my comments. I certainly understand your intent, Mr. Chairman. I just don't think this is a good way to go forward.
Councilman Bradford.
Mr. Chairman, I actually, and I guess it's my negligence in not recognizing this resolution yesterday during the work session, and I would have had opportunity to express some concern and questions as well. And I do have some, because, even the parties that, the party that this would affect and asking for some provisions and giving him the opportunity to proceed in his awarding of the opportunity to establish a business there is in question. So to give us an opportunity to further
review this legislation, Mr. Chairman, I would like to offer a substitute motion that we postpone this Resolution 7.
Second. Substitute motion by Councilman Bradford, and it was seconded by the Vice Chair. Any other discussion?
Let me ask, what's the purpose of postponement?
To see if there are additional options that we can take prior to us taking this measure. And I'm totally, oblivious of those other options, and I think we need to be clear on what we're doing, that it won't set a precedence for future prematurely appeals to this body.
Are we asking the city attorney for that, or is that just an individual council member getting further clarification?
Well, I think through the 2-week postponement, we can ascertain from the city attorney and the MPC director their understanding of what is necessary when appeal is made in such a fashion that would impede a person's ability to move forward with a project. So, if you're asking me, should I refer this to the city attorney?
No, I'm just inquiring.
No,
So
I will, and I hope others will as well. Request of the city attorney as well as the director MPC for further explanation regarding the prematurity of such a resolution.
I understand both. I'm
You good with it?
Yeah, I understand
Okay.
both.
All right.
This is until the next meeting.
Just the next meeting.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. 6-1.
Resolution number 8 authorizes the mayor to waive the background check fees for high school students enrolled in the nursing assistant
Second.
program at the Caddo Career and Technology
It's
Center.
been moved by Councilman Everson, seconded by the chair. Any discussion? Please vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Lynch?
Oh, that's fine. I got you. I was just.
My question is, okay, the resolution says that the Caddo Career Technology Center does not have the funds, available resources to pay for the fees. Now, I'm assuming, I guess I'm trying to understand, do schools pay for the fees, or is that the Caddo Parish School Board? Are we saying the Caddo Parish School Board does not have the funds, or do they make individual schools be responsible for this?
The way this has been done in the past is that the school is, tasked to do it. So now, I certainly appreciate that, question to the school board. Is that something that they could handle? But this is a request that we received from the director of this nursing assistant program at the school, and so it's her program that would otherwise be tasked to do
We've
it.
done it before. We've been doing a lot of stuff for other government agencies that I think need to be
That's a good question.
reevaluated.
I agree.
In light of that they have the money.
Right.
And so and I'm supporting this and have in the years that I've been on council, but I'm just saying that I think it may be the responsibility of the school board as opposed to the city. And then I'm also wondering of the students, our constituents, are they aware that the city is doing this, or is someone else taking credit for this? Because I'm not real clear that their parents or that the students are even aware that it's the city that's providing this benefit, and I think that we need to make sure.
I will say that there's a new director of this program, and I'm not sure what her process will be, but I do know that in the past, the previous director would put, so like a release that did disclose that the city of Shreveport was, provided this. So, I mean, they were very well aware that the city of Shreveport provided it in the past. I would imagine that's the tradition going forward, but I think it's a very appropriate question to ask. Obviously, I support doing it. I think that the return to us as, citizens having more people able to jump into the nursing profession, which is a well-paying job that is in demand of people to have. I mean, I think this is a worthwhile expenditure of our funds. But I think it's a very appropriate question that you asked about, is this something that might be better paid for by the school board in the future? And I would certainly like to look into that. I would like to maybe do it after this so that we don't, putting them in a difficult position with this class coming in right now. But I think it's a very good question.
Or maybe for the intergovernmental meeting, we could bring it up.
Perfect.
At that time.
Would be great.
Madam?
No, I was just going to say, even though they didn't talk to me about it, I do know that we, as a city, benefit from having these students come into the, employment in the workplace. I do feel like, Councilwoman Lynch, that the discussion needs to be had. I think even if the city could split the background check fees, because many of our students are unable to pay for those, and it may be a joint venture that we have, because a lot of these students go to work directly here in our city in the health professional career. And so it may be something that, you all want to think about, maybe splitting with the school system.
Councilman Jenkins?
We all look good.
Yeah, you all face.
Okay, now, hey, Jeff, okay, let me say this. In the past, did it used to say high school students? Because I don't remember this in previous legislation. And are these seniors in high school, or are they, because it says for the fall semester of 2018, so are they seniors in high school now that are graduating?
We're the kind of career center, so they could be non-traditionally aged students, and that is my understanding. Traditionally, there are some that are older than your typical 7. I mean, they're not.
They're no longer in high school, or they are.
They're like 17, 16, 17.
They're like 17, but some could be 18, 19. I mean, there's some that may have, not graduated at another school and then chose a career path at this school, as opposed to the traditional high school setting. So, it's a specific place. So there's some that could be older than 16.
Gotcha,
17.
because I don't, and now of course I've seen this for many years.
Yeah.
But I don't ever remember the part of high school being in the description. But
Tanya, do you know if it was in the past?
I can.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking at Tanya because I know that sometimes we take the one from last year and update it with the current year, and I don't think that's something we added. I think that was
with
there.
the one we do for, don't we have a Northwestern? Do we waive some background checks for another program?
This is the only one.
Northwest nursing student.
Northwest nursing student. That may be what I'm confusing, but
maybe.
Okay, sorry.
And if I may, unless, I think we should probably check with the school system about the status of these students, because when I was superintendent, all these students were high school students.
Right.
They came from different high schools,
Right. They were
and they
in the high school.
enrolled into the Caddo Career and Technology Center in the various career areas. And this was one of those areas, nursing assistant program. And when they got ready to graduate, they need to do background checks before they could get jobs.
But they can get
Now,
straight
unless
into the
they've
career.
changed the makeup of it since that's been 14 years ago, but they were
No,
all high
I
school
think you're probably
students.
right. I was probably confusing it with Job Corps.
Right.
I think in the
But
moment
this
I
what you're
was
speaking of, like
mixed
medical
up.
careers. And
These are high
right.
school students, unless
Okay.
they've changed the makeup of the school, because this is one of Caddo Parish's schools, and it does not serve students that have already graduated. It serves students that are in the high schools.
Right.
Now, they may have changed it, so we can always check that.
I think you're correct. They are high school students. I think momentarily I was mixing it up with Job Corps.
Okay.
Councilman Bradford.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to express that Council Lady Lynch comment was very point when she said when we start suspending receiving fees and other financial obligations to the city needs to be defined. And the mayor expressed that there's a benefit to the city. So those are the two criteria that I think we need to always be conscious of. Is it worthy of us waiving such revenue, and what is the benefit to the city? And we do know that we have a sector of our city that is impoverished. 24.9% of our citizens are on the poverty level, and so. But the totality of such waiver may not include those that are above the poverty level and can afford such fee. So I think us moving forward and approving this, but having a better understanding of the students and their ability in the future would be helpful to us in making these type of determinations.
Agree.
Let me just clarify. I'm not, I think the benefits are obvious. That's not really what I'm dealing with, because they have other programs there that have fees associated with it. The ASC, the mechanic, people that are getting mechanic licenses, which is way more expensive than this $20 background for people to do. I mean, we can waive fees all day for people getting liquor licenses and all types of things that will help them to become gainfully employed.
Okay, let's not liquor licenses so much. Let's kind of get off it. Let's not go there. That is not where we want to. You don't want to spend a lot of energy and fees associated with liquor licenses.
Okay, I'll take that example back. But what I'm just saying that I just think it may be something that the school board should look at doing for the students that are coming through that program. That's all I'm saying. It's a benefit that I think the school board should look at taking up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Previous question, Mr. Chairman.
If there's no any other discussion, please vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Mr. Chairman, there are no resolutions to be introduced. On the introduction of ordinances, we have ordinance number 3, which amends the 2018 budget for the Community Development Special Revenue Fund. Ordinance number 4, which amends the City of Shreveport's 2018 Grant Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance number 5, which amends and reenacts certain provisions of Chapter 10 of the Code relative to revising and adding new definitions and allowing certain business types to apply for and obtain an attached microbrewery and microdistillery alcohol permit. Ordinance number 6 amends the 2018 Street Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance number 7 amends the 2018 Capital Improvements budget. And ordinance number 8 is a zoning matter. It rezones property located on the northeast corner of Hearn Avenue and Essex Street from R17 Single Family Residential District to C2 Corridor Commercial District.
So moved for introduction.
Second.
Been moved by Vice Chair, second by Councilman Corbin. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries 7-0.
We're now into ordinances on second reading and final passage. The first is ordinance number 1. It amends the 2018 capital improvements budget.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Corbin, second by the Vice Chair. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion carried 7-0.
Ordinance number 2 is a series ordinance pursuant to the general bond ordinance, reauthorizing the issuance of not exceeding $20 million principal amount of taxable water and sewer revenue bonds, Series 2018A of the City of Shreveport, as provided in a notice of intent given by Resolution number 38 of 2017, which was adopted on March the 14th, 2017, establishing certain details of certain bonds as required by the general bond ordinance, approving and confirming the sale of such bonds to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, pledging the net revenues of the city's combined water and sewer system to secure such bonds, prescribing the form and certain terms and conditions of said bonds, and providing for other matters in connection therewith.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved by Councilwoman Lynch, seconded by Councilman Everson. Any discussion?
By the way, and this is probably an odd question, but are we sure this is going to be 2018 series and not 2017? If the answer is yes, that's a satisfactory answer. Thank you.
Please vote.
He knows why I'm asking that question, sir.
Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Thompson, is there any table legislation for the council to
I
consider?
believe that Councilwoman Lynch has a motion.
I'm going to make a motion to remove from the agenda Resolution 20 of 2017 and Ordinance 14 of 2017.
Second. Been moved by Councilwoman Lynch, seconded by Councilman Everson. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not aware of any appeals to be taken up today.
No ABO appeals.
If there are no appeals, we're on the reports from officers, boards, and committees.
Okay. We have any reports from any officers, boards, or committees?
Public safety met today and accomplished a lot more to come.
That was brief.
Okay. That's the property standards. Let me put that together.
I will say one thing on just public safety. All the council members should have received a copy of the crime statistics. And so if you didn't, I know Bill's here with copies. Actually, devil's in the details on those statistics, but certainly public perception with those statistics are not 100% in line right now. That the numbers fared particularly better, and particularly the last 3-month period. So that's worth noting for those that are interested.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Owing to the mayor's efforts and the police chief and the rest of the leadership, I should have added that in the.
Just thank that department because
Doing a good job.
because we are trending in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Any more comments on that?
No more public service announcements for me today, Mr. Treasurer.
I was glad to be able to pick one to come with, but that's okay. I know what the answer is to this. I think, Mr. Thompson.
I think you're correct, Mr. Chairman.
Madam Mayor, do you have any additional communication?
Nothing else. Thank you.
Does any council member have any additional communication?
Mr. Chairman, let me ask the mayor, very, very important tax renewal election coming up in March.
Yes, sir.
Is it April?
April 28th.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
April 20th. Two things, Mayor. It's very important. I mean, I don't know
Yes.
what happened with the parish last year. Are you considering any special efforts or strategies to try to get this passed?
Yes, sir. We've already started our meetings with our employees in terms of my staff, and we have a strategy that we plan to pass to you. We got a couple more days we need to work on a presentation that we had planned to pass to each council member. I'm glad you asked because we're going to need your help. So we do have a strategy in place, and we'll begin some of the media coverage tomorrow, actually, but we're still waiting to finish up the presentation, and I had planned to actually give a packet to each council member in case you wanted to be able to address any of your constituents about the renewals and how important it is for them to pass. So I do plan to pass that to you as soon as we can get that hot off the press. I think Mr. Crawford worked on the final copy today, and we plan to get that to you as soon as we finish getting it completed.
Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, certainly, I appreciate that. I appreciate the foresight to start initiating some provisions to make this happen. Because
absolutely.
It's that important to the city. I hope all of us can participate.
Yes, sir.
In that effort to
absolutely
really exhort our citizens to help us in passing
absolutely
this renewal. Do you know if at this time if there are any other items will be on the ballot?
We don't. I don't know what other items. I know we have 6 propositions on there, and I plan to send you all a letter by the end of business day tomorrow with the presentation that identifies and explains each one of the propositions, and kind of give you what our strategy is, trying to make sure that we can educate our publics about each proposition and ask for your help and making sure that we all working together to get them over the goal line, so to speak.
Good.
And so we had planned to send you something by the end of business tomorrow.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let me say, and certainly I think we need to be thoughtful of our approach, and no doubt. I hate to use the term strategy because it shouldn't require a strategy. It should require simply explaining that any enterprise requires a certain level of funding to provide, the
absolutely
basic services
absolutely
like police. I mean, that
fire.
People ask for, why is my road fixed? Well, I mean, that's another millage renewal. I mean, we're not asking for anything more that we haven't asked for many, many years.
Absolutely.
And what every government in America needs some source of revenue to provide the basic resources. And I will commend you and your predecessor of being prudent financial managers of our debt service. It has gone down year over year.
Absolutely.
For, 7 or 8 years straight. And I mean, this is just a basic renewal for critical services that everybody in this city is using these services that are on this particular millage.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I certainly appreciate the forethought. I hate to say that we're creating a strategy, but it's a
strategy for educating our public. If I didn't say that, that was the point. The strategy is actually to educate our publics. Oftentimes we find that unless we have a plan and a strategy of how it's going to happen, it doesn't happen the way it should. But the strategy is all about educating our publics. And I do want to say while I'm speaking that I want to commend the council in working with the mayor's office to actually reduce property taxes over the past 3 years. I can't speak about what happened prior to 2015, but you all have voted to reduce actually property taxes 6.05 millages. So you've saved, even with the renewals, people will be paying less property taxes on every $100,000 of property value. And so I think it's important, and we'll make that part. That's part of the education piece that we will put out there. They'll still be paying less property taxes because of the debt service. Thank you, ma'am. If what?
Yeah, if the property remained the same value.
If the property remained the same value, yes.
Let me follow up, Mr. Chairman. And I think I was the first to use that term, Mayor.
No, it wasn't criticism. I didn't mean
No, it wasn't, but I would be,
Mm-hmm.
we would be remiss if we did not understand that there is an anti-tax sentiment in this community. That you can only reach over and ask the Parish Commission how a basic service that they were providing was defeated. And I just said, I think we need not leave anything on the table when it comes to our approach in educating our citizens.
Absolutely.
It's basic needs, but it still has to be granted us that
Absolutely.
revenue.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
We appreciate your comments.
Okay. Councilwoman Lynch?
Yes, I just had a quick question about, I know there's going to be, I'm assuming, something, an engineer appointed, city engineer appointed. I'm starting to get calls again, on street and all that kind of stuff. And I
Yes,
just
ma'am.
kind of wanted to get an update on
Okay.
what direction we're going with that.
Okay,
I know Patrick, Patrick is in there
Right.
interim right now.
Right now, he's just acting.
Okay.
We actually advertised for it. As you know, Mr. Westerman had actually submitted a letter of retirement for the end of December, but he passed away before that occurred.
Okay.
And so with that...
I didn't know that, but...
I'm sorry?
I didn't know that, but...
You didn't?
No.
Okay. Well, he did. Mr. Westerman passed away.
No, I didn't know he had submitted a letter.
Yes, ma'am. He
Yeah.
had, because of his health. He
Okay.
had submitted a letter, and because of that, we were going to wait until the end of December, because that was the time that he would be departing permanently. And but he passed away right before that, so we advertised for a director for the city engineering department, and this is like, the third week in January. So we've gotten applications in, and we will be interviewing for that position in the next couple of weeks so that we can, get somebody in there on a permanent basis. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I want to ask if I could call Chief Goodenough to ask some questions, the same question I asked him in the public safety meeting.
Yes, sir.
I was happy, excited to hear, surprised to hear the numbers of what he said. So I just,
Yes. Do you have those numbers?
the number, yeah, we have. It's just that when he's mentioned that crime was down,
Yes.
I just asked how do we go about educating or alerting the citizens that this is, because perception is different, that the crime is up. So I just want him to give the same answer or.
Absolutely, and that's one of the challenges that we face is not just crime, but the perception of crime in our city. And just to be clear, we were just a little up for the entire year of 2017, but like Mayor Tyler has alluded to, through the last quarter, and particularly September, October, November, and December, we saw dramatic decreases, double-digit decreases, particularly with violent crime. And you had the numbers there that violent crime was actually down, I think, over 30% for the month of December 17 as compared to 16. So we've made, we as a city, we as a community, have made tremendous strides. However, one of the challenges that we face, and it's a tremendous challenge, is that perception of crime and the perception that it's not safe. And so we're going to proactively make sure that we are doing everything we can to engage the public, the people that we work for, those folks who live, learn, work, worship, and play in this city, and continue to look for ways, unique, inclusive ways that we can engage them and include them in their police department. And that's going to be one of our proactive activities that we're going to do, continue to do this year.
Okay. I just want some of the people who wasn't at that meeting and some others just to hear that so that they'll understand, and hopefully we can educate them on some of that. Councilwoman Lynch?
Let me say that congratulations, on the numbers and all of that. And I think I saw an interview you did on television yesterday.
Yes,
where
ma'am.
you said, I think you said, you were talking about the numbers, and basically, and I'm paraphrasing, but you said, if you've had some type of crime that happened to you, the numbers from 20 years ago, it really doesn't, And if you've ever had your home broken into by someone, it's something that you never forget. I mean, I don't care if it was 15 years ago. You just, that feeling just never leaves you of somebody violating your personal space, okay? And so, you know, we can educate people on the number, but the perception of crime is really multifaceted, you know. Sometimes it may not even be occurring where you live, but just hearing about it on the news, you know, incessantly is enough to make you fearful.
Yes, ma'am.
You know. And so I think, you know, even that is, you know, part of it. A lot of media coverage on every, you know, minute, you know, thing. Like, for example, I'm not sure if kids are just running away more now than they did, you know, when I was their age, or if we're just reporting on it more. You know, I'm not real clear on that. So I think, you know, with the internet, with social media, you know, we have people who, you know, I was at a near a crime scene here recently at Broadway and Henry, and, you know, people were videotaping and, you know, uploading, you know, real time, you know, in their networks. And so you just, the perception of crime is coming from a lot of different sources. What I'm
And
saying,
that's
not
part of
just-
that.
Yeah.
That's part of that challenge, is the way that we, as a culture, I think, consume media has changed dramatically
Correct.
over the past 5 years. And when we look back 2 decades,
Right.
it's not even the same process.
Right.
And so social media is that's part of that challenge, but we want to make sure that we enlarge our social media footprint so that we can be out there and be active. Each one of our community liaison officers has a Facebook page now, and they continue to build those following. One of our, both of our public information officers are very well versed in social media, and so we're trying to again attack that problem on several different fronts, like you've alluded to.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to, unless there are any other communications from council members? Okay, we'll take up public comments at this point. John Settle, please.
John Settle, 4 Teal with Shreveport. I really wanted to address 2 matters. One was Lou Gary Burnett, a eulogy, and also 2 comments today on crime and the tax renewal. On crime, I think it's unacceptable a murder rate of 50 last year. And I really don't care what the stats were 10 years ago. I really don't care what they were. I was here then, but I'm living today. And I know that it's always crimes of passion, people know that, but I think that rate is unacceptable. New York City and Los Angeles have seen a decrease in murders last year. This past week, the mayor of Baltimore fired the police chief because of the murder rate. So I have a problem with the number of murders in Shreveport. I don't care what the reasons are. Secondly, on the tax renewal, I hope that the city and y'all will be careful saying that I'm paying less taxes than I did before because the millage is going down. Because most of us don't look at millages, we look at what we paid in taxes. And the problem we have, we've got to be careful with reassessments and the value of our homes going up, which is a, quote, good thing. A lower renewal does not, millage does not necessarily mean I'm paying less taxes. And so I'd be kind of careful in any campaign saying that Settle's going to pay less taxes in 2017 on Caddo Parish real estate, and I have 2 properties, because the millage is going down because of my assessments. And I think this was a problem in Bossier. They did pass their renewal, but it did raise some issues. So I would suggest that they be caretaken on that.
So appreciate your comments. I'm very clear on how renewals work and assessments. The average property owner in the city of Shreveport, now we're only talking city of Shreveport taxes. We're not including school board or parish. has gone down 19% over the last 8 years. That is not in millage. That is in dollars.
Amount collected.
That is amount collected. So that is, you're accurate when you say that it is a function of the assessments. But unless you've purchased a new home or done a significant addition to your property, I have yet to find anybody in the city that has been able to find a property tax bill that is higher today than it was 8 years.
But however,
You've
I
got
think
a good plank for the platform. Don't take it personally.
No, but I mean, I just want to clarify that because
It's a matter of how you put your platform out there.
if I could add into Mr. Settle's point, I think that one of the things that I certainly don't think that the citizens feel, that they don't feel this. You know, I know this being part of this body. We have worked very hard to, provide those reductions in taxes. However, there are other bodies who have increased their taxing millage rates, and a person who receives a tax bill doesn't look to see how much is this going to the library, how much is going to the parish, how much is going to the courthouse renewal fund. They're not paying attention to the breakdown itemized of what millage rates they're paying. They're looking at how much does my mortgage company charge me for it, and how much ends up on my mortgage statement at the end of the year. I mean, it's just people don't have time to dig through the minutia of everything. So unfortunately, while we've made that effort to reduce our taxes, and really I don't mean to pick on the parish, theirs has stayed steady. Though there's some, they could have. I mean, there's some discussion that could be had there, but really there are other bodies, and it would really the school board and the biomedical research, BRF, and one other, I think, that have increased substantially while the city has decreased. So we have decreased, but do people feel it? No, because it's been caught up by another body. Another body has raised their taxes while we've been lowering it. So
I plan on supporting this. I will be happy to say that I helped defeat the Caddo Parish last two bond issues, and I helped defeat the Caddo Parish Commission bond issue. So I'm just a word to the wise. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate that. And you were going to say something about Lou Gehrig, because Lou Gehrig Burnett.
Sad to say that Lou died of cancer on Friday.
Wow.
He died at home under hospice. Lou wanted this to be kept very, very quiet. And I found out, I think, on December 30th at a visit to his home. I subsequently went with him to an oncologist, radiologist, took him to treatments, and he was in the hospital for quite a big time. He made it very, very clear to me and Linda Talbert and just a very few others that he wanted to keep this very, very quiet. And so we honored his request. There was a very, very small service at 3 today, and his body has been cremated. Again, I was put in a position of knowing a lot, seeing him frequently, but gave him my word that I would not share it. I think we all knew Lou. He worked in Washington on the Hill for 27 years. He moved back to Shreveport. He was a political columnist for a lot of Northwest Louisiana newspapers. He worked as executive assistant for Bo Williams, 1997 to 1998. He started the FaxNet Update, which was quite a great publication. I had the honor of having many columns in that issue. We tried to get out an issue the first part of January, and he wrote a column and I wrote a column, but it never got out. Lou also was active in the Shreve Island Neighborhood Association. In 2017, he was inducted to the LSU Manship Hall of Fame School of Journalism. I think he'll all be missed. I think we all knew him. We read his publications. He was oftentimes on TV. One of the best visits I had with Lou was before the Saints game, playoff game, thank goodness. We did watch in his hospital room the Pittsburgh Jag game, and he was very animated that day. And I decided to go home and do some other things. I didn't watch the Saints game, which was a good thing because he was quite upset about how that ended. Up until his last days, he was fairly cogent, but cancer was very severe, and thankfully didn't suffer too long. Thank you.
Thank you for letting us know, John. Wow.
Mr. Chairman.
So sad.
Councilwoman Lynch. I'm sorry.
As he said, I think, everybody knew Lou. He was just such a kind-hearted person, very encouraging to me when I first started out in politics. And I just like to just have a moment of silence in his memory. Mr. Chairman, whatever point you just want to do.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Mayor Tyler.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. I just wanted to comment and say to Mr. Settle, thank you for the conversation on taxes, and we certainly will take heed to the comments that you made in educating our publics about what City Council and the Mayor's office have done to reduce the millages for the city. And I think the discussion that we had was very healthy in that it did present, I think, some ways that we could have a better educational campaign when we go out there. So thank you so much for that, Mr. Settle. And also I want to say thank you for sharing that you're going to support us. And so we'll be working diligently to try to get those basic services continued here in the city of Shreveport. And also thank you for giving us the information about Mr. Lou Burnett. We also, liked what he did, his objectivity in reporting some of the political news for us. So I just wanted to say that publicly. Thank you so much for your comments.
Mr. Sammy Mears.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. Last week's weather really kept me and a lot of other people from going out anywhere or doing anything at all, and I want to thank all the responders as well as Mayor Ollery Tyler said earlier, who were on the scene to do what they could do for us. And of course, we went without water for 2 days and 2 nights, so I called the manager and she got right on the ball and had the water people come out and take care of us. It was no fun for 2 days, frozen pipes and no running water. And then of course, FBC activities of supper, prayer time, and Bible study were also canceled at First Baptist Church at Shreveport, so I look forward to getting back tomorrow night and seeing what they have for supper. It was really hard staying inside with nothing to do or anywhere to go. All I could do was either get a nap or maybe just watch television, and that was kind of really hard on me, and it would be everybody else. Of course, the weatherman said it was 12 degrees, and I said, what? 12 degrees? But the facts don't lie. And I didn't like the sound of it, but when you can't fight the situation, you just can't fight it. The facts are as they are, and it is what it is. It's kind of like having a real bad day, and it comes faster than you would really even expect it. It happens a lot faster than you even realize. Those things could really happen. But this week I hope will be a whole lot better, because I think it looks like it's doing okay so far if everything works out just right. I'm looking forward to getting back to supper and all the regular activities that I enjoy doing real well. It's just so fun when you're stuck indoors. And I hope this week will be much better. I really think it will. And by the way, Willie, you may find it in your mailbox, because Jerry told me that he put it there. Look,
My wife told me she had it.
Huh?
My wife got it out the mailbox.
Oh, good. Well, now you've seen it, haven't you?
I hadn't seen it, but she got it.
Oh, I hope that you get a chance to read that speech, because I want you to frame it.
I'll do it if it's worthy of framing.
Oh, it is. Cell towers, not bell towers. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, those are the only public comments for today.
Yeah, if there's nothing else, this means adjourned.